Good evening, everyone. This is interesting saying good evening, everyone, instead of good afternoon, everyone. Because now this is my new time. I will be going live every other Sunday at 7 p.m. during my live. I'm not going to go every Sunday because my ankle swell and all that other stuff. But thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I am so happy to have you here tonight. And as you can see, I have the blanket sitting here on my lap. When some more people get in here, I'm going to stand up. And thank you, Out of Space. Robert McMedia, thank you for coming too. But let me go back up to the top and say hi to everyone that's here. Well, I'm not sure she's here, but Susan at Herb and Bucket was the first one in here. And the next one was Dawn at her new channel is Show Me Your Knits. It's her crafting channel. And then we've got Sharon Rowland, 1196. Thank you for coming. And then Ed at Whistle Stop Homestead was like, hello, Rebecca, I hope you're doing well. Wow, you're going late tonight. Well, this is going to be my new time that I'm always going to be going live and stuff. And then Barb at Ben's Over Acres came in, and then Simply Jan, and then Jan said she was going to be coming back. And yeah, and let's see who else is here. We've got Putty Cat. We've got Robert McMedia. We got Jane Doe. Thank you for coming in. And Johnny's Stealth Crafts. Thank you for coming. And Lone Cross Scotty's here. And Joy Bartlett is here. And there's Simply Jan. Yes, please share this out. And My Alaska. Bill. This is his blanket. This is so, but as you can see, this was the next color that was going to go on this. I'm glad Bill's here. Because let me pull this thing up out of its bag and you guys can see how much I have done. I have one whole section. This section was the beginning. And then I've done one whole section of that yarn. And I am now working on this is the next ball of yarn. And you see what I put it in? This will make some people that are in the military happy. That's, of course, the Marines, Navy, Army, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The one that's not on here is the Air Force. I don't think the Air Force, Coast Guard is. Is the Air Force on here? Marines, Navy, Army, Air Force, yes. Is the one that's Space Force is not on there. And hi, Robbie. Thank you for coming in. But let me stand up because Bill's bed. The reason why this is so big is because Bill's bed is a queen size. See, there you go. that is the blanket. Yeah, National Guards. Yeah, they're missing. But yeah, that's his blanket. Yeah, I'm working on the third big ball of yarn on this. So I'm gonna put this back down in this bag for now, and I'll show you some other things that I've been working on. Let me move this over. Hi, Nancy. Thank you for coming. Okay. I've also been working on things for my sister, Bernadette. She's out in Washington. Her favorite color is periwinkle. Let me pull this up so it doesn't start unraveling. I'm going to show you what I've been working on for her. This is the cotton yarn I'm using. And Leanne at Blackberry Rock Homestead is here. So I'm going to show you what's in here. This is the pot holders I have already finished for my sister. And I'll show you. There's thermal stitch pot holders. Now, come back here. You crochet hook. Yeah, these are the pot holders that I've made for my sister. There's 4 of them there. And then I was working on a very large one for her to put like under a casserole dish. So I finished this one for her too. That's one of your favorite colors too, Sharon. It is a very pretty color, but yeah, I made this one for her to be able to put up underneath, you know, a glass dish on her table. You know, casserole dish. But yeah, I've been working on these and working on the blanket. Yeah, Luann. There we go. But yeah, I'm now gonna work on this. Yeah, it's a very pretty color. But if anybody has ever done a let's see here, a thermal stitch. Thermal stitches are where you go into the back side to the front. I'm going to show you that. And it makes it where you're making it thicker. There we go. There was a channel that I watched a tutorial and learned how to make pot holders. This is a little bit more tedious, but I figured I'd show you guys how to do a thermal stitch. For the pattern for this, it's chain 24, and then you chain 2 more, and then you go into the third one with a single crochet back across. And then you start going back and forth here to making this thicker. And there's 19 rows. Yes, Putty Cat, it does. You know, I have to make sure that I'm getting into both sides, and yes, cotton yarn does sometimes tend to split a little bit. Come on, let's go. Yeah, I've made a few pot holders for people. It's kind of interesting. She wanted a whole bunch of pot holders from that 1 pound of yarn that I got from a company called Hirschner's. Most of these cotton yarns tend to be like 14 ounces instead. Oh my goodness. I did not want to see that temperature change. Oh. Hi, Troy Sutton. Thank you for coming in. No, it doesn't, because, you know, as you get into my age, you really don't care what people think. To me, it's just relaxing, because most people think I've been crocheting since I was a child, and that's not the case. I didn't learn to crochet until 2021 or 2020. I think it was 2020 that I learned. I had made a blanket for myself, and on this kind of plastic S loom that I really didn't like what the edge looked like. And my sister Christine taught me how to double crochet, and that's how I learned how to start making the blankets that I've made for people. That's how I made the blanket for Simply Jan. Yeah, I haven't been crocheting since I was a child. When I was in Job Corps, I learned how to knit with the long knitting needles. So there we go. You love your blanket. In fact, the stitch that I did on Jan's blanket is different. And she's like, how did you do that? Well, I just tried something different. That's what made that blanket unique. I'm glad you do, because every time you go live, it's always sitting back there on your couch. So, but yeah, I just find it relaxing to do this and make something for my sister. Then I've made her. She got some Santa hats from me. But yeah, I just figured, hey, I'll just try a different stitch on this blanket, and that's what I did. As Nancy put it, it's the Rebecca stitch. Yeah, it was nice having you here, Sharon. Thank you for coming. Have a blessed night, definitely. Yeah, you got to run. How is your snow doing? Is it melting at all? That was a lot of snow at your place, Bill. And hi, Karma. Thank you for coming tonight. Yeah, it's great to see you all. You love your blanket too? Yes. There's Judy Herman. Thank you for coming, Judy. I'm working on thermal stitch pot holders for my sister Bernadette. And I was working on the blanket. We actually got a full day of rain, but it's mostly still hard crust on top. Yes, I bet so. That was a lot of snow to come home to. And so nice that your neighbors helped get your road cleared out before you came home. Have a great night, everyone. Yeah, definitely. You have a great night too, Bill. I know the first time that I made the pot holders that I made, I was amazed that I wrapped it around a cast iron skillet that I was cooking on the stove, and I couldn't even feel the heat through it. It was just so amazing, the how thick it was, and where it didn't, I couldn't feel the heat through it. Definitely a big surprise. Of course, when you're making pot holders, you always use a natural, like cotton yarn. And then I found out that I didn't realize there was different types of cotton yarn. That there's this one that's called mercerized that doesn't absorb water as much as regular cotton yarn does. So I'm definitely learning there's different kinds of cotton. It's more processed. I'm going to try to, I've got some mercerized cotton that I'm going to make some pot holders out of it and see how it works on what it feels like. But this is just regular cotton yarn. You know what? I think this will make it this is a little more tedious than I want to work on tonight, but I'm going to start working on the blanket again because I got to pay attention to what I'm doing to make sure. I'm making pot holders for my sister Bernadette, and this is basically, I just started on this one. This is I'll show you one that I've already finished, but it's a little hard to do it here. So I'm going to work on Bill's blanket, but let me show you one of the pot holders that I've already finished. Here's one of the pot holders that's already finished, and it's called a thermal stitch. She chose her favorite. My oldest sister's. This is my oldest sister. Her favorite color is periwinkle. So she picked this yarn out. She paid for it, and now I'm making it for her. And this is I've got four pot holders finished. Then I've got this hot pad, this big hot pad that I made for her to put, things on. So I'll be using all of this yarn here for making the rest of her pot holders. And then I'll ship this to her. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think the blanket's going to be a whole lot easier to work on. And put that thing over there. Now to find the there's the hook. There we go. slide this out here. See here. Oh, don't pull out of there. Please don't. I think this will work out good. Oh, I didn't know that. That's your favorite color too, Jan. My favorite color is a pastel yellow. I was really surprised that this skein of yarn, you know, that big ball of yarn fit inside of that can. Listening and crocheting. Thank you for being here, Luann. All I know is this is so relaxing for me to kind of sit here and work on these. Yeah, this is a darker blues are your favorite color? Wow. Okay. Are you more along the navy cobalt type blues? The most difficult thing that I've ever crocheted would be the seashell stitch. It's a lot of counting. Just doing this is just double crochet. Pretty simple to just do double crochets, but seashell stitches you got to do a lot of counting. And some of the seashell stitch that I've done was where you do double crochet into 7 times into one spot, which makes it a kind of like a puff seashell stitch. You know, and you got to keep counting, making sure you get it right. And there's been times that I have added more than 7 on some of the blankets that I've done. Nancy taught me how to do a called rectangular granny square. That one was a little bit, you know, had to learn how to do that one. It works up pretty quickly because you just keep going around. I crocheted a pineapple tablecloth with matching doilies. Oh, I have not done doilies. And I also haven't, you know, I haven't done a amigurumi, you know, the animals. I haven't done any things like making a sweater. You know, maybe as time goes on, maybe I'll learn how to do those things. And most of them I've just done making blankets, pot holders, dishcloths, things like that. Other people have taught me different ways of doing dishcloths. And where you kind of go into the back stitch and leaving a ribbing, which makes it a lot easier for scrubbing your dishes and stuff. I know that I really like having a homemade dishcloth instead of the ones you buy in the store. Also, Delphet Blue. Okay. Doing amigurumis. Wow. I know when I first started learning how to do the hats, I had to watch people doing it, to learn how to do it. Doilies seems like a lot of small type thread. I know there was one person asked, can you make earrings and stuff out of yarn? I don't think you'd want them out of this 6-ply yarn, but I do know of a lady at the senior center that makes earrings, but she's using more of a doily type thread to do that. Yeah, I've been, as you see, I'm taking that off and making sure that I don't do more than what I need to do on this. And okay, there we go. Yes, it certainly has gotten expensive, and you know, I definitely find that the yarn that I'm getting now is mostly ones that have gone to the senior center, where I'm able to get some yarn and be able to use it. And when Michaels or Hobby Lobby have their 30% off sales, I get it then. But most of my cotton yarn now comes from Hirschner's, and also from the senior center. I'm able to pick up cotton yarn from there also. Nancy, if you're here, if you could put up Hirschner's link. I don't know if she's here. So if there's some people in here that want to take a look at what Hirschner's have. But yeah, that's where I get my the cones of cotton yarn from, is from Hirschner's. Sometimes they'll have where you put in a code where you can get free shipping, or they also have other kinds of things on their website. Like those yarn hooks. Where the latch hook things are. They have that. They have latch hook rugs. So they don't just have yarn. So pretty. I really like the colors that this is going to be. It's has a, like a gray blue that's in here. Thank you, Luann, for coming, and have a great night. Wow. I'm crocheting a lap blanket with crystal ocean colored bulk yarn. Hi, Cora Phelps. Thank you for coming in. But yeah, from now on, my live is going to be at 7 every other Sunday. I will, once this live ends, I will be going and setting up the next one so that everybody will get notified. But yeah, I'll just go every other Sunday. Putty Cat, my sister, I had made a blanket for myself on this thing that's called an S loom, and I didn't like what the edge looked like, so I took it over to her, and she taught me how to double crochet around the edge, and it made it look better, and that's how I learned to crochet. Was my sister teaching me. That's what got it started on making all the blankets that I've made, and there have been some people that have definitely been blessed with blankets that lap blankets that I've made. And then someone asked me to make for their mother a seashell stitch, and I had never done a seashell. So I got on YouTube and found out how to do it. That's how I learned how to do that blanket. Let me see here. I know I've got one on here. This is the blanket. Let's see if I can do this. That was a blanket that I did for Karen at Flash Ministries. I made that blanket for her, and now I got to figure out how to tone down the colors so you guys can see this. And I'm not sure how to do it on this phone. Let's see here. Display. There it is. Let's bring that brightness down. There we go. Can you guys see that better? That is a seashell stitch. And Karen at Flash Ministries wanted a California King blanket made in the colors of the Armenian flag, which was red, blue, and orange. So I made that for her. And let's see here. Let's see here. Looking for I made a baby blanket for Grumpy, or Amy's daughter that I have in here. Let's see where it is. Also made this blanket for Mike and Terry. This one is the pattern of the rectangular granny square. There it is. Here's that baby blanket that's in Paul Honeyman's granddaughter has that blanket there. There we go. Here's this other blanket that I made for Grumpy. Darn my phone. Okay. It's that one. That one was just a double or triple and half triples that I did that one. And here's Simply Jan's blanket. Yes, I take pictures of all the blankets that I've made. Yeah, that's the one she got. It's absolutely amazing. I need to get these on some other things, so I can get those off my phone. Let's see here. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things I've made, and of course I've got Santa hats that are made, and the I call them Christmas coasters that I made. Yeah, I'm grateful that my sister taught me how to crochet, because there's a lot of things that I've been able to do now, and making throws and now having that new loom that I got from Jesse and Lisa, that I can make reversible hats in about 20 minutes instead of 2 hours or 4 hours. Definitely makes it nice. I haven't crocheted a hat yet, because I was thinking that you'd have to know the person's head size to be able to do that. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 15. Thank you, Jane Doe. In fact, I made the decision that because Jane Doe inspired me to do the using that crank loom, she got the first hat that was ever made on it. That's what. So she didn't even know I was sending it to her. Let's see here. Now to go back the other way now. Let's see here. You're welcome. Definitely, I am not cold up here with this blanket on my lap. Robbie, do you know if he's? I'm thinking Robbie's here. Do you know if the Red Dirt Rooster Road's going live tonight? I crocheted a hat for my daughter and myself for Christmas. Had never done it with bulky yarn, so I had to redo some of it the first time. Yeah, I bet so. This is a Line brand bulky yarn that came from. They are not going live tonight. Okay, not a problem. I know this is kind of strange for everybody that I'm now going live at the time that Jack and Dina used to go live, and I talked to him about it, and he says, yeah, if you want the time, go ahead and do it. Yeah, this is going to be a big blanket when it gets done, and what I'm going to do is add this one and then one more of this color, and then the other color on the other side will be the final row of this to finish this blanket. I'll definitely say one thing, that because of how bulky this yarn is, this works up really fast. Yeah, I put these stitch markers on so I'd make sure I don't do extra stitches on it. Yeah, thank you everyone for being here tonight. And no, I'm not finishing yet. I'll probably finish this row and then this blanket, and then we'll say good night. And I will see you in 2 weeks. And if there is someone that wants to go live on the other times that I'm not going to be going live, go ahead and do that. there might be some channels in here that might want to take that time up and be able to go live on this, at 7 o'clock. Yeah. This is a lot of work. 11. Come on, slide through there. Thank you. Sometimes it gets hung up a little bit, but I just keep going. Oh. Susan, my brother, I guess he's doing okay. Yes, Jane Doe, it is very soft and very hot. Definitely, I am not cold right now. There's other blanket yarn that is like a 5, but you see how thick that thing is? That's a 6-ply yarn. And oh my goodness, it's warm. But it is considered a blanket yarn. The crochet hook that I'm using is a 10 millimeter. This will be my first 6-ply yarn that I have ever made a blanket out of, because usually I use the 5-ply blanket yarn. This will definitely be a very warm blanket for someone that's in a very cold place. I got to drive the car in snow Saturday. Then it started to try to spin out, and I went, gee, no, you're not, car. First time I drove it in the snow, I definitely know I need to put some weight in the trunk of that car so it don't do that. I heard Gigi running down the hallway. She's getting her running on. Cats are usually asleep during the day, and then they start running around at night. very. Where I picked up this yarn was at Walmart. Hi, Em. Good to have you here. I will be going live every other Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I know some people say that's the Lord's time, but I think all of the times are the Lord's. I am crocheting a very large queen size blanket for someone. For Bill at My Alaska. You were on Peters? Yeah, I know there's people, you know, anytime you go live, you're maybe going over someone that you support, but you know, and that's when I become part of the replay crew. You know, watch their lives later. Yeah, 6:30, 5:30 my time here, and you know, so they just get part of the replay crew then. Okay, now Linda, that's okay. I'm just gonna work until I get down to the end of this, and then I'll get off because it'll be a little over an hour, but that's okay. As you see, there's someone that usually goes live after me, but they're not going live tonight. And that would be Red Dirt Rooster Road, Monty and Michelle. Yes, there are so many channels, but you know, at least there's definite ones that I will be part of the replay crew and give them that support. Yep, that's where it'll end. There are so many people that we follow, and you can't be at all of them. Six, 8. Yes, that is correct, Jane Doe. Yeah, I will stay on here until I finish this row, and I do want to thank all the people that are watching it on the TV, the ones that'll be part of my replay crew, the ones that couldn't be here. I want to thank you all for being here also. and supporting my channel. This isn't the heaviest yarn that I have seen. This is a thick. Yeah, and that's 5 p.m. Pacific. Yes. $4 o'clock, I guess, in Alaska. But yeah, there is some thicker yarns. Yes, and Ben's Over Acres. I think she's out. And yes, this blanket is heavy. It certainly is. I've got it in one of those vacuum bags, that you put blankets in and stuff, and so that it will stay clean. And I've seen yarn that's even thicker than this that people knit with it with their fingers. I haven't picked any of that yarn up. Yes, it certainly will when someone lives in Alaska that definitely will be able to stay warm. I'm having a kind of a feeling that I think I'd like to make myself a blanket for my full-size bed with this yarn, because trust me, I wouldn't need to have anything else on there. Yes, I am doing a double crochet on this blanket. And this is a 10 millimeter or N. Yeah, just got to there, and then I'll how to move that stitch marker. Yeah, my go-to stitch is usually you're eating dinner now. I've always wondered what people say, lunch, dinner, supper. Our family's always our family. My mother was raised in Missouri here, and she always said dinner, and some people say supper. You say dinner. I usually always say dinner also. It's kind of what your parents grew up with, what you're going to be saying. I'll talk to you later, Em. Thank you for coming tonight. Makes me wonder how many stitches I've done on this thing. Oh my goodness, this is... I think a lot of people would think this is just a daunting task. I grew up with breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, supper. Okay, now stitch marker here. Now the last 14 to go. I was able to count how many were here, and it ended up, each one having a section where there's 14 stitches in each one. I didn't hear brunch until I was in my early 20s. Hi, Sean at Let's Trade Paint. Thank you for coming in. I've been doing great, working on making a blanket for Bill at My Alaska, and also working on making pot holders and hot pads for my oldest sister, Bernadette. First time that Ronald and I went to the Mid-America meetup, Sean and Kelly helped my brother carry our tent over to where our site was because we had put it in the wrong spot. Yeah, I guess I'm about half done. I still have this much yarn to put on it. See? Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. And you will see me not next Sunday, but the following Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this live, and have a great night, everyone.